Hello everybody and welcome to the Hika Tamiga 5K Bluesky follower Q&A Meet the Artist special. Woo! Okay, so people following me from YouTube will probably be confused. Where the heck have you been? Didn't you say you'd make a cross-posting tutorial of some sort? Yeah, I got a job and then I got really busy. But now I'm back. It's a lot more labor intensive to make a YouTube video than it is to make a tweet, skeet, post, thread, whatever. So I've been on Bluesky making art, making text posts, and making feeds for people to use, and somehow I got to 5,000 followers. Very scary. I wanted to make a celebration that wouldn't really be labor intensive in the free art sense. So what I've done is I've opened 2 ask boxes, let people ask me any question they want, and I'm gonna give them an answer. The B-roll footage for this should be me doing a meet the artist type illustration. I actually haven't drawn it yet as of recording. I figured I could draw it at any time, but it'd be good to record while the house is quiet, so that's just what we're gonna do. Without further ado, let me get to the first question. Okay, so Anna, aka Rui Plume, asks, what was your first digital art app? That would probably be Paint Tool Sai 1, you know, the 2010 DeviantArt tutorial Paint Tool Sai unofficial crack version. Please buy the official version, it's just one guy that develops it. But yeah, you know, those were the times. That was the app I used. Here's some art maybe that I made using it. All in all, it's not a bad app. It's still a pretty good app. I would probably recommend like Clip Studio Paint or Krita for more like feature intensive, kind of like, oh, I need a lot of features, I need to do this, I need to do that type stuff. But if all you want to do is just make a drawing, I would really recommend Paint Tool Sai 2. They added a lot of features like text features, shape features, perspective rulers, stuff like that. I actually used Paint Tool Sai 2 to thumbnail and sketch the most recent micro comic I did, because the more bells and whistles an application has, the harder it is for me to just sketch and doodle freely in it. So for that one, I sketched and doodled and storyboarded it in Paint Tool Sai 2, and then I inked and toned and all that stuff it in Clip Studio Paint. Yes. Thanks for your question. Next up, Chris. I believe this is Cinema Chris, Star Quest Chris. Hi, Chris. Chris says, congrats on 5K. Thanks. If you've ever used traditional mediums, which is your favorite to use? If not, which one seems like fun to use? I use traditional, I like to call them analog. What is tradition really? I like to use analog media in my sketchbooks. I have paper as if like I'm gonna do pieces with them. Like sometimes I do pieces, but it's more often that I use analog mediums in my sketchbook for now. I'd say my favorite mediums are ink wash and watercolor. Not that I'm good at them. No. Like I'm good at sketching with them. Like coloring a sketch, but making a piece, like the type of ink wash / watercolor masteries that I feel like I need to make like a proper piece with them, I don't have. I might be able to make good pieces with alcohol markers if I were to get some. You see, I don't have a lot of alcohol markers because they bleed through most sketchbook paper. So it's like the medium I like to sketch with, I feel like I can't make pieces in. That's ink wash and watercolor. And the medium with which I feel like I might be able to make good pieces with, I can't use in my sketchbook, and that's where most of my analog stuff happens for now. Yeah, so that kind of thing. So, favorite, let's just say all 3. ink wash, watercolor, alcohol markers. But if I had to pick one, I think I like ink wash the most. I could probably do an ink wash piece if I tried really hard. Thanks for asking, Chris. Alright, next question. Centaur Works asks, how are you able to balance your art with your full time? Not well at all. Okay, so I don't have a full-time job. I have a part-time job, I have freelance, and then I have my own stuff. So my part-time job, I must spend probably let me see, 5.25 hours a weekday, and then 6.25 hours on a weekend shift. So let me see. So at my day job, I must spend about 27.25 hours a week working. Is it that 30 hours a week is that's the threshold for full time? So I'm just barely under full time. But technically it's a part-time job. How do I balance it? Not very well at all. So a typical work day for me is I wake up early, 5 or 6, unless I'm super conked out from the day before. And then I quickly shove breakfast down my mouth, quickly get myself cleaned up, and then I just nose to the grindstone, or however the saying goes, I just start working. Whether it's drawing, personal stuff, writing, personal stuff, working on an under-the-table commission I'm supposed to be doing, I just work until I have to leave to clock in at my day job, which usually a day job shift for me starts early in the afternoon and ends at around dinner time. So I just work at the day job, go home at around dinner time. So once I get home, I take care of myself a little bit, I eat, and then depending on how the day went, if it was an easy day, I will do something actively productive after eating dinner and taking care of myself, move an art piece a little forward, get some writing done. I don't like to do commissions after I clock out. I like to do those in the morning, so yeah. Some sort of personal project type stuff that I can do if I'm not feeling too tired. If I come home from work and it's been a hell of a day and I'm really tired, what I will do is something I like to call passively productive. So I'll read or learn or consume media because it keeps me creative. Something less intensive but still in a way that makes me feel like I'm moving myself forward. Because I found that whenever the day job is stressing me out, what keeps me alive is just feeling like I'm making progress, especially comic related progress, even if it's that I'm doing comic support work for somebody else as a commission. Just as long as I'm doing something comic related, a day or in a week, it just helps me not feel dead inside from my day job. I hope that was a good answer. Thanks for asking, Centaur. Alright, next. Valiantly asks, what is a project, new or old, that you either really want to work on or wish you worked on? For example, I wish I could have worked on DreamWorks Prince of Egypt, etc. I want to write my comics. I want to draw my comics. I have stories bouncing around in my head. A lot of them, the whole skeleton of the plot is laid out. A lot of them, outlines are laid out or dialogue is laid out. It's just I have to be at my day job. But I'm gonna reinterpret the question as if you could have worked on a project that's not yours. If you could be hired for something, collaborative project, stuff like that. I would really like to do logos, book design, lettering for either webcomics that are going to print or like manga that is being localized. Like that's probably my dream day job / freelance / contract, whatever, would be to do stuff like that. Graphic design, lettering, book design for either localized manga or webcomics. Thank you for asking. Alright, next question. Monkey Supreme, hello, asks, when will we get the official series with Pink Feather in it? So that is Divine Operatives Lux Nox, in which the protagonist character, Amity Williams, transforms into Lux Pink Angel Feather, a magical girl. When will we get it? Before I die. I'm going to make it. It'll just happen sooner if I can spend more time at home and less time packing Amazon returns at my day job. You know what I mean? The more time I get to myself, the faster I can make it. But in order to afford time, I have to like make money making art. You know what I mean? Monkey Supreme also asks, how long did it take to make your awesome website? Thank you for thinking that my website is awesome. Not too long. I feel like I made the theme really fast. And then I just put the theme onto WordPress. And WordPress allows me to just put galleries, blog posts, and pages onto my website using my theme. So yeah, using WordPress.org saved me a lot of time on that. Favorite anime of all time? My favorite anime of all time would probably be Cardcaptor Sakura and Cardcaptor Sakura Clear Card. But Cardcaptor isn't my favorite manga. It's funny. My favorite anime of all time is Cardcaptor Sakura, but not the manga. And then my favorite manga of all time is Sailor Moon, but not the 90s anime. Like, the Sailor Moon anime and the Cardcaptor manga hold a special place in my heart each. It's just I like my favorite for the mediums are like the opposite one. Does that make sense? And then what was the latest song you had on repeat? It's a good thing that I'm answering this now after the latest Kendrick drop because I think Luther from the latest Kendrick album, GNX. I really like that one a lot. Like, I just have it just going over and over and over, you know? Yeah. If it was up to me, I wouldn't give these nobodies no sympathy. You know, love that shit. Thank you for these questions, Monkey Supreme. Alright, next question. From Sarah Neela Elkins. What is your favorite dinosaur? Now, this is a tricky one. I had to either look at every Barney character or look at every Land Before Time character and then like decide. Let me see. Okay, I think my answer would have to be a Triceratops for now. And yes, I am basing that information off of Barney the Dinosaur and Land Before Time. Thank you for asking. Alright, next question. Tenny Cola asks, which of your favorite characters are, I'll answer the one at a time, your favorite to draw? Probably... This is hard, actually. Favorite character to draw. You know, I like drawing my little Sona guy if I draw them chibi style. A lot, because it's very fun, fast, and easy. Just a big hoodie, some big old pants, and some boots. Very fast. Easiest to draw. Okay, I'll make my Sona the easiest, and then my favorite would be, I guess, Lux Pink. I like just drawing like a big bell shape for the skirt. That's very fun. And then difficult to draw, Hevel, because wings are hard to draw, and I want to stylize them to a certain extent, but I worry that if I do that too much, people will be like this looks cheap, draw them realistic or something. But yeah, I think that covers all three: favorite, easiest, and difficult. Thanks for asking, Tenny. Alright, next question. Captain Hanyu asks, what made you start creating art? I was one of those little kids where you give me a pack of crayons, I was a menace. I think like what made me more interested in like characters and like character art must have been both Sailor Moon and Sonic early in my childhood. Not even like Sonic Adventure, I'm talking like Sonic 3 and Knuckles and Sonic CD Windows port, Sat AM, and Sonic Underground. Like that, that early was what made me start getting interested in character art. The kind of boom of Vocaloid, Utau, that kind of vocal synth birth era got me very interested in like original characters and digital art. Yeah, that was about when I started drawing on the computer with like a rinky-dink bamboo tablet. Yeah, and it was, when was it? Like around shortly after graduating high school, where I started having stories of my own to tell, and that added on to my existing love of reading other people's comics kind of became when I started having my own, like, okay, let's make my own comics then kind of moment. And I've been, just drawing. It feels like I've been drawing my whole life and then like writing narratively like in high school, original character wise, and then post high school, let's make comics wise. Yes. Thank you for your question, Captain Hanyu. Alright, next. Sanoan asks, what is your go-to place to get inspiration for your art? Definitely art books that I have. I like art books. It used to be like, oh, I just browse DeviantArt, then Twitter, then Tumblr, then Instagram, then Bluesky, whatever. I like art books more now because I feel like I can get a sense of like one artist's work and like see like what makes their work instead of just being bombarded with like whatever's rocking the algorithm right now. Especially because I feel like social media artists are most algorithms force us to post. So like the kind of stuff I'm seeing flow to the top isn't like someone putting their whole artistry into their work. So I really like looking at art books from like the people blessed enough to afford lots of time to put their whole energy into a piece and just seeing like a huge chunk of their body of work at once. Yes. Alright, thank you for the question, San. Next question. Eliakins asks, what's the weirdest or funniest place you found inspirations for a character, story, or art piece? So, when my mom moved up in her job, she started needing to be back in the office in real life more instead of working remote. And I only have a driver's permit. I don't have a driver's license. So one of the funniest like inspired characters for me was like I started scootering to work. You know, with like a kick scooter, you kick your little foot, you stand on the thingy, you kick your foot. And that inspired like a Sonic character where like their whole special ability is that they ride a scooter and then they do, I forget what the move is called, they like a tail whip or something, where like you like hop up with the scooter, kick the footboard underneath you in a 360 spin. I thought, wouldn't that be funny if their whole attack was hitting you with the metal footboard of the scooter? Because I've hit my shin with like a scooter kickboard before and it really hurt. And I thought, wouldn't it be funny if there was a Sonic character whose whole ability was that they just kick you with their scooter. So that's probably the funniest inspired character I think I've ever had so far. Thank you for your question. Next question is from Dr. Burst. If you had the funding to make your own animated TV show, what would the show be about? who would be the characters? Divine Operative Lux Nox anime adaptation. My magical girl story that takes place in the Bay Area with like 50% college student characters, 50% high school student characters. Yeah, that one. The one that I write, the one that's my banner, the one that's my passion project. I would just fund an animation of that. Yeah, thank you for your question. Alright, next question. Anonymous asks, how did you start drawing and how did you continue through the years? With Crayola crayons and Crayola markers and number 2 pencils on paper. Notebook paper. It wasn't until like middle school / junior high when I got my first bamboo tablet, back when those were like, well, you know, bamboo's always been the cheapest line, but you know, back when Wacom was the only option and bamboos weren't too crazily expensive. And then how did I continue through the years? I just didn't stop. I did my fundamentals, still draw anime regardless, because you can do your fundamentals and still draw anime. And, you know, just keep practicing. Don't compare yourself to other people too hard. And yeah, I've just been drawing digitally ever since 2010. Drawing at all ever since, my parents gave me crayons and markers. Yes. Thank you for your question. Next question from General Techno. Which one of your OCs do you wish you gave more attention to? Like as in one you want to put more energy into writing drawing, but you haven't for one reason or another. Probably Win. Cause Win, he's the protagonist of my cyberpunk story project. But despite him being the protagonist, I feel like I draw and develop the side characters more. So I need to draw and develop Win a lot more so that he doesn't feel like a cardboard protagonist. I don't know how much I want to tell y'all about him yet, other than that, he leads a group of kind of freedom fighters that are investigating and plotting against the cyberpunk big bad. I guess that's all I can say for now. But I really want to develop him more. He's a protagonist. I need to develop him. Thank you for your question, General Techno. Alright, next question. Nami asks, I want to know who your oldest OC is that you're currently still using. My oldest OC that I haven't like binned, I'll say it that way. My oldest OC that I haven't binned or trashed would be my Utao voice bank from 2010. Hikaru. It's not like I've made any music with her or anything lately, because as far as music goes right now, like, I'm not really a songwriter. I just did cover stuff. So, like, I don't make music, I don't make covers with her anymore, but I still think she's dope. I still think she's cool. I still think her brother's cool. I should use them for something not music related. But if I ever get back into like covers, or maybe even remixes or something, or like maybe if I commission a song, I commission someone to write a song, I can like then open up Utau and like use Hikaru as vocals for the song or something. I should have shown pictures of her on screen while I was yapping about it. Thanks for your question, Nami. Alright, next question. Indie Star asks, what's your favorite art program / art process? My favorite art program to use would be Clip Studio Paint right now. But I miss Clip Studio Paint version 1. I like the features in version 2. I like whatever features are in the version I have right now. I'm up to date with it. But I miss version 1 because I could have it on 2 laptops and it didn't have to log in and check with Celsius that my serial number was okay like every single frigging day. But yeah, all that complaints aside, Clip Studio Paint is my favorite for illustrations and comics, etc. My favorite art process, I like line art and then monochrome, whether it's flat monochrome or like screen tone monochrome. You know, despite what it may seem, I'm actually not the biggest fan of coloring and painting. Like if it's cell shading, I can live, but like, yeah. Favorite process, line art, monochrome. Thank you for asking your question, Indie Star. Alright, next question from Seth Machete Demeter. First of all, congrats on 5K. Thank you, Seth. And then second, a question. What are your biggest inspirations, shows, people, literature series, etc.? I think writing-wise, I'm most inspired by kind of like my life and what I've been through and what people I care about have been through and like social interactions, positive or negative, stuff like that. Now I read books, but I don't think any of the storytelling has like stuck with me in a way where I can consciously pinpoint the influence. You know? Same with television. Video games I'm very influenced by aesthetically. Especially like Sonic and Splatoon and stuff like that. Most of the inspiration that I can like directly and consciously say like, yes, I was inspired by that, would be other comics and graphic novels, and I guess some animation too. Like I'll always say, like if in an elevator, I'll always say Naoko Takeuchi, Rumiko Takahashi, Clamp. There are some things where I'm inspired by them, not like in a I want to be just like that sense, but like if I were to do this, here's how I do it differently. Like Miraculous Ladybug is a huge one for me, where it's like inspiration, but I'm inspired on how they did things I didn't like. Same with Madoka Rebellion, even though I feel like it suits Homura's character arc. Yeah. I wish I could think about this and give it a better answer, but for now, that's all I'll have to do. Thank you for your question, Seth. Alright, next question. Chet asks, favorite type of treat to get yourself? A savory meal. Whenever I'm in San Jose, by where I used to go to college, SJSU, I like to get myself chicken nibblers over rice, which is a dish where it's white sticky rice with like, what would I call it? Like chicken chunks, fried chicken chunks on top with unagi sauce and sriracha mayo and green onion and seaweed salad on top. Get that with some butterfly pea lemonade, and that is my favorite thing. Whenever I was sad and depressed at college, or whenever I finished a really hard assignment, or did well on a midterm, that was like my go-to meal right there. Love it so much that I started making it for myself at home, minus the lemonade. Thank you for your question, Chet. Alright, next question. An anonymous asker asks, what would your OCs do as Pokemon trainers? What Pokemons would they have? What type of gym would they work at? I don't think all of them would be like trainers in like the Ash Ketchum protagonist type sense, but I can see what a lot of them would do in the Pokemon world. Okay, let me see. I think Amity, aka Lux Pink, would be like one of the Nurse Joy's type characters, you know. Hevel, I think, would be like a Pokemon daycare worker, you know, where like you put two Pokemons together and an egg comes out. He would work over there. Let me pick Clay for the Cyberpunk story. Clay would probably be... He'd probably be the guy you talk to when you use your PC in the Pokemon Center. Like, he would be the voice of all the, like, system dialogue. To be fair, Win is the main character of the Cyberpunk story, so for him, I think he would be like a high-ranking member of, like, the enemy organization of, like, the main player campaign. Like Team Rocket, Team Plasma, Team Galactic. He'd be one of those. One of my characters, Leah, aka Tsura, I think she would be like your typical main character. I'm gonna get all the gym badges. I'm gonna beat the Elite Four type. I'm gonna beat the champion type characters. And then I have another 2 set of main characters for a project where I don't know what they'd be doing. Maybe they'd even be the Pokemon. I don't. Yeah. I'm gonna leave it at that for that one. But that's a very interesting question, Anon. It almost makes me want to start drawing my answers. Thank you for asking. Next question. B. Willett asks, what is your least favorite thing to draw? Hair. And it's tragic because I'm very inspired by shoujo manga. There's nothing I like more than to be able to draw silky, flowing, luxurious shoujo manga hair. But I have 4C hair. I don't make for a very good reference of how non-textured hair works. I don't have an inherent understanding. I'm not good at drawing it. It's my least favorite thing to draw because I'm bad at it. I feel like if I got better at it, I'd like it a lot more. Thanks for asking. Alright, next question. Anon asks, are you currently working on a comic/webcomic? Yes! Yes, I am. I'm working on a whole bunch. But not in the way that people can easily tell, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not putting out pages because I'm slaving away at my day job all the time. So what I do right now is I focus on concept art, character designs, and outlines. Plot outlines, chapter outlines. When I'm in the earlier stages of writing, just word dumping the whole thing from start to finish. That kind of stuff. Yes, I am working on plenty of comics. I would say I'm only actively working on 2.5 in the writing department, where I'm like actively and constantly working on them. And then other ones, it's like I develop them when I get a new idea and then I leave them alone for a couple months. But as far as like actively developing comics, I would say just, let's say one series, one proper series, and then like one mini series, and then like a bunch of micro comics. That's what I'm actively working on in the writing, character design, concept art type realm right now. I would love to make and put out pages. I just need to make more money doing art first, so I can stop scootering to work to bag Amazon returns. Anyway, but yeah, thank you for your question, Anon. I'll get it done. I can do it. I believe in myself. Alright, next question. Anon asks, what do you think is the best place to host a webcomic? Now, this answer depends. My personal best place to host a webcomic is somewhere that is very artist focused. We want to please the artists first. A lot of other people's personal best place to post a webcomic is somewhere where they feel like a lot of readers will just stumble upon them by accident without them really having to advertise themselves. So something like a webtoons. I would rather say like Global Comics or Namikomi, personally, because I feel like they're more for the artists, doing what the artists want. Let's not screw the artists over, that kind of thing. The only struggle with that is that you gotta be good at self-promo if you're going to use those kinds of sites that are artists first but don't have a big user base. You gotta be promoting yourself on TikTok, on Bluesky, on all the things to push people over there if there's not already a big user base over there. I hope that makes sense. That's a really good question, Anon. Thank you for asking. Alright, next question. Now you're a regular. I know you. I never know how to pronounce your username. Is it Strimes49? You're gonna have to tell me on Bluesky or in the comment section. What's your favorite character dynamic in cartoons, web comics, anything? P.S. Congrats on 5K. Thank you, Strimes. I feel like my favorite character dynamic are characters that are really different in aesthetic or personality or values, but in a way that's like they're really good for each other. You know what I mean? Not like opposites attract, but like I like character dynamics where it's like, yeah, like a little bit of opposite attracts, but like the two of them together are like way more than the sum of their parts, and they're so good for each other and they help each other grow and heal and stuff like that. That's my favorite dynamic because the differences can make for some fun friction or just some visual contrast, but the like good for each otherness of ships like that, when it's like that, it's like, it's the best. Thank you for asking, Strimes. Alright, next question. Nan asks, which project did you create first and why did you create it? So definitely Divine Operatives Lux Nox I made first. I made that one like graduating high school, entering community college. There were a couple factors in why I made it. One, I like magical girls a lot. Two, it was kind of like an outlet for like baby gay feelings I was having at the time. Three, as I mentioned before, I was like inspired by Madoka Rebellion, but kind of in a like, this is how I do it different kind of way. I wanted to make a story that was like, how would the real world treat magical girls, especially the government and the police? So that kind of thing. Oh yeah, and Miraculous Ladybug being like, I do it different at Miraculous Ladybug. And I wanted to have a series with like non-binary magical heroes in it. And I also wanted to have a series where you've got your main character, she is default, what you expect, she is Sailor Moon, Pretty Cure, Card Captor, pink, pose, frills, ribbons, she's all that. And then I wanted to see, okay, now everybody else in the cast, can I design them with different motifs, themes, and aesthetics, but you still recognize them as color-coded magical heroes? That's why I started creating it. At least in the like vibes and aesthetics department. The writing is very like coming of age and lessons I wish I'd taught myself sooner, and self-indulgence in tropes and themes and characters that I like, that kind of stuff. Thanks for asking, Nan. What are some of your favorite art studies that you like doing? I love doing gesture drawings because they're fast and easy to do at work. I'm not supposed to take too long on them anyway, so by the time I finish one, I can just close up and help another customer really quick. And also because a lot of comics is character acting, and you gotta be really good at body language and poses in order to be able to do that. Gesture drawing helps you become faster, which is very good for comics. And yeah, so I would say gesture drawing. The only thing is I had to really make sure I'm not accidentally doing figure drawing or anatomy studies. I have the kind of brain where it's easy for me to get lost in the details. But yeah, gesture drawing, I like that. Thank you for asking. Next question is, art is a thing that can move people and change lives. The same is true of those who create it. I agree. What would you like your impact as an artist to be? I feel like something that comes up a lot, like thematically, subtextually, like you have to smell it in both Divine Operatives Lux Nox and like Demi-Human Diaries especially, is like, there's nothing wrong with you, especially for being queer. Like, no matter how you were born, no matter who you are fine just the way you are. I really wish someone could have told me that as a teenager. So I feel like subtextually, that's something that has wormed its way into both of those projects. And when they're ready for people to consume, I really hope that young readers would be able to get that message. And yeah, I would especially like for young readers of whatever faith they have that are queer to be able to feel like they can be queer and have their faith. I want them to think that the intersection of their queerness and their faith is like theirs to decide how it works. I kind of had that taken away from me as a teenager. So yeah, that's the kind of impact I'd like to have as an artist, I think. Thank you for asking that question. Okay, so the next question asks, what is my biggest current goal? I would like to be able to just either be I would like to be a self-employed artist so bad. I don't mind including freelance work or contract work in that description. Personally, I just want to stop driving out to a day job that's like over 20 hours a week. I want to be able to dedicate more time to my comics and stuff. So like immediately for me, like immediate goals, that would be doing my art shop paperwork so I can launch my art shop, reaching monetization on YouTube, having a Ko-fi that people actually donate and subscribe to, because all of those would lead me to be able to be a proper self-employed artist. Even if it's only that I'm part-time a self-employed artist and that I make like a part-time wage on my own income streams. Right now I make nothing on my own income streams, so I come home from my day job and I just do as much as I can. But yeah, biggest goal, self-employed artist. Thank you for asking. Favorite Pokemon, Miss Magius. Is it Miss Magius or Miss Magius? That's the problem when you don't watch the anime enough, you just be playing the games. Miss Magius, Pokemon, and then mythical, my favorite is Jirachi. The purple one and the star one, I feel like that's kind of obvious for me. Fun question though. Thanks for asking. What is your biggest inspiration for making art? Okay, I've said like inspirations. Let me see the biggest. The biggest is, okay, I'm gonna say inspiration instead of motivation. The biggest inspiration for making art, it might be whoever is the mangaka behind Skip Beat, the shoujo manga about the girl that tries to break into the entertainment industry, cause that was my first manga. I got it from a Scholastic book fair. I was immediately hooked. I was just like, ooh, this is great, this is awesome. I was just reading it. I remember the day like no other. I was at a private school. I was at like the middle school campus or whatever, and they bused us from the middle school campus to the main campus because that's where the book fair was being held. It was a rainy day. I picked up that manga because I was like, ooh, this looks like anime, and I bought it, and it was, I don't know, just that bus ride back to the campus, the middle school campus. I was just reading it. It was just great. I just felt like it was just a brand new world kind of feeling. Probably the biggest inspiration, most longest effect for making art that I've had. Yes. Thank you for your question. Alright, and that's been everything. Thank you so much for 5,000 followers on Bluesky. That's absolutely crazy. Thank you to everyone who sent in questions. You know, at first I was like, this doesn't feel like enough questions. But I'm looking at the recording and I'm at like 43 minutes and 46 seconds, so maybe it was enough. Thank you so much for all your support. I hope in 2025 I can make more things that'll make me a more deserving person of your support. But just replying to me on Bluesky, commenting on YouTube, just letting me know that you're here and you're interested and you're listening is enough. Thank you so much. I hope the B-roll footage was interesting. I post art mainly on Bluesky and Sheezy Art, but you can find everywhere I post art by going to hikatamiga.com/links. I have all my links there right now. You can get exclusive rewards based on things I draw. on my Ko-fi page for supporting me. And yeah, I think that's it for now, unless I think of anything else. Thank you for watching and thank you for your support, especially on Bluesky. I hope you have a good rest of your day. Bye bye!